Okay, so we are on still the goal for it to be the frequency distributions and histograms exhibit the defining characteristic of a function. So this worksheet is due on Monday. Let's look at the first problem, okay? All right, the first problem is for this bar chart that shows the frequency responses for the method of travel, okay? Remember we did this survey with our class? Like, how do you get to school? So that's what they're showing you here. Not our data, but just a random one. So explain the meaning of each expression in function notation below in the context of the scenario. So this is what we did yesterday. What will we write for part A?
Two people rode in the car.
Two people responded that they ride in a car to school. Okay, that's what you're writing on here. Okay, and then you will do B and C. Okay. All right, everybody good on that part? Yes. Okay, next one. Number 2. Remember, I'm just explaining so you can do it on your own later or today. Number 2 is a survey was taken of 80 students at a community college that completed. Oh, how many semesters they completed at a community college? Okay. So describe the domain and range of this data. So there was 80 students, right? And the first question asked was, how many semesters have you completed? So let's think about it. What would be the domain? Which part? Yes, the number of semesters they completed would be the domain. So this part. Okay. And then what would be the range? Yeah, the frequency of the responses, right? Okay. So you're going to explain this question has 2 parts, the domain, the range, and so forth. Okay. All right, B. For part B says, one student remarked that this data distribution could not be represented by a function. Why? Because he said that many students in the class were in their first semester. So could they answer that they completed?
No.
If it's their first semester?
No. Oh, no.
No, because they haven't finished it. So he's arguing that this could not be a function. So do you agree or do you disagree with his remark? Now, he's saying this is not a function. He's not saying this isn't a good survey. He said this is not a function. This can't be represented by a function. So yesterday we talked about what a function is, and this class had very good responses about input, output, and other stuff we wrote down. So read your notes from yesterday in our notebook to decide, is he right or wrong? Can this be a function or can it not be? And why? You can't just say I disagree. You got to say I disagree because give me a reason, okay? Or if you agree with him, say I agree with him because a function, blah blah blah, okay? All right. Letter C. So part C. Another survey question they asked was, what is their favorite color for a car? Okay. So F is the function that maps the color to the frequency of the responses for that color. Analyze each of these expressions and explain whether or not it is a correct use of function notation in the context. So, what does that mean? It's explaining to you that the input is what their favorite color for a car is, right? And what's the output? Yeah, the frequency of the response for that color, okay? So then, based on that, you have to tell me, is this the correct use of that notation for the input and the output? Yes or no, and why? So let's do the first one together. F of red equals 10. Is that a correct use of the function notation, f of x? I would say yes, and we need to say why. This is correct. Right. So you would type, let me type up here. You would type correct.
Do we have to say why?
Yes, you do have to say why. Because red is a color, right? That's in the right spot for the function notation. Red is a color, and 10 is a frequency. And so you have to do this for each one. So on the next one, you would say correct Y or incorrect Y. If you can't see letter C, it's because it's on the next page. So go to the next page. Don't forget to answer this one. It's on the second page. Okay. All right. Can I go forward? Yes. Okay. Now, number 3 is a dot plot for travel time to school, rounded to the nearest minute, and 42 students answered, okay? So on the first part, you're just going to complete the frequency table from the values that they give you on the dot plot. So for 1 minute, how many people get to school in 1 minute? One. About 2 minutes. 0. 1. 3. And you get the idea? Yes. Okay, so you're going to fill in the frequency table there for part A. Okay, and then part B, you're going to use that frequency table and you're going to map the travel time to the responded number of students. So we're basically plotting the points on the coordinate grid. Okay. After you do that, then you'll compare how is the dot plot and this function similar and how is it different. So this question, letter B, has 3 parts. You creating the graph and then answering how is it similar to the dot plot from this part and how is it different. So what would be my first point based on the table that we filled in those few values? 1, 1. So on your grid, you would go to 1, 1, and there's the first point. And then, well, it's not the same thing. Why? Can you repeat an x value on a function? So here we're not going to have, we can't have 2 x's. So it's only 1 point for every x. So what would 2 be? 2 what?
0.
2, 0. So that point is on the axis. So 2, 0, and then what is it? 3, 1. Y'all, this PowerPoint's going to make me literally. Okay, 2, 0, 3, 1, 4, 3. So you got to plot every point for the value. Okay? All right, and then you go all the way to 36. Okay? So that's part B. Next part. Part C. So now that you have your points, you're going to evaluate. What is the value of f of 5 and what does it represent? Okay? So you're going to look at where when x is 5, what value do you get? Okay? And what does it mean? Answer with a number and a sentence with that. Okay? Letter D. What would you use function notation to express the statement? 2 students reported that it takes them 20 minutes to travel to school. What is function notation? Anybody? No, Evan. Notation. Notation is not a number.
Oh, that drives though.
We wrote it down yesterday. Function notation is this, f of x. This is function notation. So your answer should look like this. You need to fill in, based on this sentence, you need to fill in those parts. F of something equals something, okay? All right. Letter E. Suppose that you group this data into 5-minute intervals, as shown in the first column of the table below. Use the ranges to complete the frequency column. So we're doing frequency again, but we're binning it together. So y'all remember when we did the histograms on Desmos and we changed the bin width to like 4 and 5 and it made them wider? So we're going to group the data. And what is the first grouping? From 0 to what?
5.
5. But am I including 5?
No.
Where do I include 5?
The next one.
The next one, because of the equal to, right? So go back to the table, and my strategy is to actually group it here, right? 0 to not 5 because we don't include it. 0 to 4. So that's this one, 0 less than, and then your time less than 5. And then what would the next one be?
5 to 9.
5 to 9, because we don't include the 10. Okay. So let's fill in the first one. From 0 to 4, what is the frequency altogether?
5.
Good. So in this, you would put 5. Okay, and then so forth. Yeah. All right, everybody still doing good? Okay, the last part, after you fill in this table, now you're going to graph this one. But we're not doing coordinate grid, we're doing vertical bars. So the width of each one should be that 5-minute range from 0 to 5. With the height being the frequency. So what was the frequency from 0 to 5? 5. So my bar should go up to 5 right here. Okay, and then you would do the next range depending what frequency you get there. But everything should be counting by 5. So don't copy mine. This is just a sketch, okay? Use your number. All right? And then there's a question here that you have to answer. And I kind of already gave it away. What display is this going to graph look like? Bar graph, the bins are together. Histogram, good. Yeah, histogram. All right. Okay, so the rest of it, complete it independently as fast as you can so you don't have homework because you didn't do homework. Okay? All right.